why I'm here. Let me be an open channel. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. If love is why I'm here, let me be an open channel. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. Give and receive. Give and receive. If love is why we're here, let us be an open channel. If love is why we're here, let us give and then receive. Love is why we're here, let us be an open channel. If love is why we're here, let us give and then receive. Give and receive. Give and receive. If love
Good morning, and thank you, Krista. It's a wonderful memory of you playing that beautiful Bach on your lovely flute. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Inspiration Cafe. The Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living is thrilled that you are here with us. I'm Maxine Kay, and I have the great privilege of being the spiritual leader of this beloved community. So glad you're with us this morning, no matter where you are in the world. And no matter where you may be walking along your beautiful evolutionary spiritual path, you're welcome here during this just precious, precious hour with us. And Reverend Mike and I just got back, actually, day before yesterday, from the great Northland. We had some amazing adventures up in the Canadian Rockies, and unforgettable, once-in-a-lifetime adventures. You'll be hearing more about them, I'm sure, as the days and the weeks go by. But we were so glad to be home. You know, there's nothing like clicking your red shoes together 3 times and asking for home, because no matter how fabulous the experiences and adventures may have been, coming home is wonderful. And of course, our teens were off at camp in Oregon at Camp Cedar Ridge this week. So we have been having a lot of wonderful summertime adventures. I trust many of you have been doing the same. So we are gathering together as we do in consciousness and in person whenever possible to be with you wherever you are and to welcome you with our hearts wide open, because this is a place where love lives. Interestingly, when we were in Calgary, we also, on that Sunday, we were at the Center for Spiritual Living in Calgary, Dr. Pat Campbell Center. And they do the same thing we do now in terms of live stream and in person. They're in person every Sunday as well as their live stream, but they call it the Love Stream. And I like that. I think from now on we'll call this internet connection with all of you our love stream. So thank you for floating in on our love stream this morning. We are part of the greater organization, which is called Centers for Spiritual Living, and it is worldwide. We're very grateful for that. And so we are absolutely working on and living and implementing the wonderful statement that CSL ministers came up with many, many years ago. And it goes like this: awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. That's what we're all about. And we know that we have this great creative, intelligent, loving power that is available to every person without exception. And so we use this energy, we implement this power for good. We use the power for good, for good. And so one of the most important things that we're here to do is we are co-creating a world that works for everyone, a world that works for all without exception, where we can live in harmony and peace and abundance and love and sufficiency and respect for one another, and the great joy of living and delighting in our unity and in our very special, unique ways that we show up in the diversity of the expression of God's life. And we also have a purpose statement that is known to many of us. It came right out of our own center a few years ago, and it goes like this: living, loving, learning. Spirituality that works. And we have these beautiful spiritual tools that we use for every imaginable human experience. So come along on the ride with us today. We are delighted that you are here. And those who are with us in person, we're delighted that you're here as well. I want to thank Dr. Hazel Spears for a fabulous talk she gave last Sunday while we were up in the Northlands. And I want to thank all of our beloved people who made it all happen. And we're so grateful to everyone, to Sarah, who was the MC, to Cheryl, who was our practitioner of the day, to Edie, who gave a wonderful wee wisdom, and also the announcements, and to our wonderful team. And last week it was Payson who made it all happen audioly and visually. I can make up words if I want to. Audio Lee is now a word. And it's not a girl's name, but it should be, huh? So thank you for being here. We're going to have a very, very special opening song. Oh, and thanks to Linda for making the Inspiration Cafe so beautifully open so that we had a lot of people here, I understand. Our special song, well, you may hear more about it later, but it's particularly special to Reverend Mike. I don't know how our music team found it, but they did. That the Dan Myers, who is performing this, and who also wrote it, was Reverend Mike's music director in his center in Kennewick, Washington, for many years. And this is a very, very special song to him, to us. So let's hear Dan Myers singing and performing the Rainbow Song.
Hi, I'm Dan Myers, and a while back I wrote this song in memory of my father, and it's referred to as the Rainbow Song. I saw the light shining from your eyes just before you left to go back home. Like the crystal scattered rainbows on the walls within this room, I still feel the warm reflections of your smile. Rainbow has no mind to know it's beautiful. It lives because it lets the sun shine through. It doesn't hide from the raindrops. It just lets it be naturally. Naturally. We've climbed a rainbow together, you and I. We've climbed it high enough to rise above the clouds that once were in our eyes, that made it hard to see what now is beautiful. Our rainbow of love. As I watched you drive away, the tears began to flow. I didn't try to stop myself from crying. Instead I found my music like an old familiar friend. She gave these words to me because I listened. A rainbow has no mind to know it's beautiful. It lives because it lets the sun shine through. It doesn't hide from the raindrops. It just lets it be naturally. She said a rainbow has no mind to know it's beautiful. It lives because it lets the sun shine through. It doesn't hide from the raindrops. It just lets it be naturally. Rainbow of love, oh let it be. I saw the light shining from your eyes just before you left
That was so beautiful. Thank you, Dan. What a sweet surprise. And I'm tearing as well because 3 years ago, when we had gone to California for Reverend Mike's son's memorial service, Dan had sent that music to Daniel Namod, who played and sang it then. So it's pretty special to us. Okay. Hey, kids, it's Wee Wisdom time. Most of you, at least the teens, I think are still pretty much sacked out. You just got home from camp yesterday, and I hear you had a magnificent time and that you probably aren't going to be up till maybe noon, right? Well, if you are up, this is for you. And if you didn't go to camp and you're listening in, this is for you. And I've actually had adults tell me that sometimes the wee wisdom is the part they understand most of the presentation on Sunday. So it's for everybody and for me. I came across a story about a man. It must have been some long time ago because he was up in the wilds somewhere. I'm not sure if it was Alaska or where, but he was looking for gold. And he had had a friend who was a trapper, and the trapper had passed away not long before he went on this particular excursion way up in the wilds of the mountains. And he came upon something that was rather surprising to him. There was a trap that had been set, and it had a female wolf in it. She couldn't get free. And when she saw him, of course, she was terrified, so he kept his distance and just made camp and sat and waited. He wanted to help her out of the trap, but he didn't want to endanger himself. So he was using both love and wisdom, wasn't he? So he waited, and he realized as he got a little bit closer that she was a nursing mother. She had pups somewhere. And so he also he felt she'd been there a few days, and he wound up going and finding some game that had been taken down but by another animal, but still had some meat there, and he began to bring that to her and feed her, and he was just taking his time day after day to earn her trust. So in the meantime, he realized there were pups somewhere. And he went up the mountain. He finally found some tracks. And he just kept going until he found a den. And he made a little wolf call down in the den, and there was no response. And he thought, oh no. And then he made another wolf call, and he heard a little response. So he scooped up 4 little wolf pups, and he put them in his knapsack and carried them back down the mountain to where the mama was, and was able to put the little pups up to the mama so they were able to feed. And they were certainly grateful for that experience. So each day, they were all together then now, the pups and the mom. And each day, he would go get food for the mom, bring it to her. And each day, he'd get a little bit closer. And finally, I think it may have been on the 4th or 5th day, he realized that he had indeed earned her trust when he walked up, as he usually did, and her tail wagged a little. And so ultimately, he was able to free her from the trap. And he found that her paw, a couple of toes had been hurt, but that the paw was okay and would be saved. So she looked at him, wagged her tail, and she and the 4 pups ran off into their woods and back to their home. What a beautiful story. He freed her, and he also freed himself because he had to stretch his mind into some other possibilities to do what he wanted to do. So, in a sense, it was freedom for everybody, for the pups, all four pups, for the mama, and for him as well, because he was able to do something beautiful by being patient and loving and kind and wise. Well, he came back there about a year later, and he went back to the same area, and he waited a while. And here came the mama wolf, looked at him, wagged her tail, and ran back to her group. So I loved reading that and seeing, I mean, this whole month is about freedom, isn't it? He wanted her to be free and to thrive, and her babies as well, and they did. And he wanted himself to expand in his awareness of his own freedom and what could be done when he let himself be led by his heart and guided by his wisdom. So that's it for today. We will talk to you again very soon. Time for meditation, to come into that sweet sacred space where we feel our hearts opening, our minds becoming clear, as we begin by taking in a deep holy breath, a breath of love and wisdom. And as we exhale, we allow that love and that wisdom to circulate through our physical bodies, through our emotions, through our minds. And we let that love and that wisdom, as it fills and overflows our bodies and our consciousness, we let it move out into the very room where we may be right now. It starts right here. The center of love and wisdom are within our hearts, each and every one. And as it begins to flow out from our consciousness and into the room and filling our homes, it flows on out peacefully and powerfully into the neighborhood, touching, blessing, illuminating, nurturing, healing. Let it move out into our world. As it does, transformation takes place. We're starting with that very small love light and the presence of divine wisdom. For love and wisdom must go hand in hand. And as they move out into the world, the light, the love light, becomes brighter and brighter, and more transformation takes place within hearts and minds everywhere. This is true freedom. It's real opulence. It is a great expression. It's a wonderful love story made real. For this is the divine plan for each of us and all of us to live and move and have our being in the great expression of divine life. Inspired by love, guided by wisdom. Imagine the entire world filled with this illuminating, nurturing, healing presence. And as it flows outward further and further and encompassing the planet and moving beyond, it also is in a perfect divine circulation process where it returns to us and flows out again. It is a never-ending circulatory flow of love and wisdom and peace and freedom. Let's come into the silence here for a moment, just allowing that beautiful sense of the circulation of life, of love, of wisdom, peace, and joy to occur. And continuing to feel the warmth, the sweetness of this precious life, freeing us moment to moment, lifting and healing and nurturing the world. Let us remain in this divine consciousness of the perfect circulation of life, of love, of wisdom. How good it is, how sweet it is. All is well, all truly is well.
Just when I think I know all I can do, there's more. Just when I think I can't, something inside me says I can. Just when I think I know all about love, there's more and more. Just when I think my heart is full, it never ceases to expand. Just when I think I've arrived, that my journey's near its end, something inside me says no, there's more. Think again. My heart is open, my mind is free. I now stand ready to live the greatness that lives me. Just when I think I know all that I have, there's more. Just when I think my life is full, another gift is mine to hold. Just when I think I know all that I am, there's more and more. Just when I think I know myself, another mystery unfolds. Just when I think I've arrived, that my journey's near its end, something inside me says no, there's more. Think again. My heart is open, my mind is free.
Thank you, Rick Charette. That was beautiful. Now, look who I have standing right next to me, yes, to give you some inspiration and an opening special prayer treatment, affirmative prayer. Our beloved practitioner, Georgiana Gord.
Thank you, Dr. Maxine. Yeah. So Reverend Mike is going to talk about today stretching into a new idea. So I decided to really think, what does that really mean? And LinkedIn just surfaced a wonderful quote, anonymous, of course, and it goes like this: a mind is like a rubber band. Some people stretch into it, and some people not. KNOT. Along with that, Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimension. So there was a little tendency of him thinking about that rubber band. And then here's an anonymous: stretch to get our bodies in shape. If we do that, why not get creative and get our mind in shape too? So what a wonderful way to do that is to do our affirmative prayer, as Dr. Maxine just mentioned, and we do this together, called our spiritual mind treatment. So please join me in the first person. I'll be doing this in the first person, so join me in a way that is most comfortable for you. So I state this treatment with regards to knowing that the magnificent freedom and the possibility that is waiting for us as we stretch our mind. Knowing that there's only one life, one love that's everywhere present. It's the mind of God. And the mind of God is a capital M, because this mind of God is everywhere present, in everyone and in everything. This mind of God has created the heavens, the earth, the mountains, the seas, and it has created me. And I am so grateful to know that this mind of God lives through and by means of me. And I lean into the consciousness with the gift that the God presence lives through me as peace and joy and harmony and wisdom and truth and beauty. How magnificent this and so much more that I have the privilege to lean into accepting and stretching into the presence of God. And I realize that as I stretch into the presence of God, I stretch and I am flexible and I see the goodness in myself and the creative wisdom. And I'm so grateful for the creative wisdom that will come through Reverend Mike today, that we have already heard from Dr. Maxine. And the creative wisdom and the coordination and the cooperation of everyone that has come in contact with today's service, that they stretched into knowing that today is orchestrated by God. All right? God doesn't have to stretch. It's us emerging into giving ourselves permission to stretch. And I give myself permission right here, right now, to stretch into today's service, knowing all is already magnificently designed in the mind, capital M, of God. So with this in mind, I release this into the law, knowing that it is already received, acted upon, and done. And together we joyfully say, and so it is.
Thank you, Georgie. Thank you, Georgie. That was awesome. I'm inspired. Will you join me in repeating the affirmation that would be right up there on your screen? I gratefully expand into a greater consciousness of infinite possibilities, embracing the new with delight. Oh, and speaking of delight, I now have the great pleasure of introducing to you your speaker for the day. He is my partner in adventure and in life. We just got back, as you know, and what a delight to share the experiences with him. It is also a delight to have him share here with us every time he shows up and lets Spirit speak through him. I don't have anything more to say to him except you're going to be very, very glad you came to this love stream today, because here comes Reverend Mike Gerdes.
Oh, you're awesome. I've got this.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Maxine. Boy, with an introduction like that, I better be good, you know? It's a beautiful day. It's so, traveling is great. You know what's even greater? Coming home.
Yay.
We saw some great sights and met some great people, but boy, we got great sights around here. We got wonderful people around here. Stretching into a new idea. You know, unless you were born in this teaching like Dr. Maxine was, getting into this teaching and then staying in this teaching causes you to stretch our consciousness and keep it stretched. And sometimes what happens is we forget and we go back to thinking the old ways. And then we go, oh, yeah, yeah, that didn't work before. Why should I expect it to work now? And some things that changed too is like our ideas about God. You know, I was raised thinking, my mom did most of my religious education because we really didn't do church much because my dad didn't care for doing communion. And he certainly didn't like that tithing thing. So we'll talk more about that later. But my mom said that refer to God as like a kindly man up in the sky, up in heaven, that would care for us and was kind to us. Now, I know a lot of people didn't have that kind of God, and they're healing from that. But that was the kind of God, excuse me, that my mom talked about. And then our ideas about life and being eternal beings. You know, I thought like, okay, when we die, we go to heaven and we see other people that have died, and that was about it. I didn't have that close of a connection with this thing called life, this thing called God. And in this teaching, whoa, we learn that we are individualizations of that life. We are individualizations of God. We are that. That I am, expressing by means of us. Now that is a huge, huge, huge idea to grasp and to stretch our consciousness around. How about our place in the universe and our role in it? You know what we're here to do, don't you? We're here to express the greater idea of life and love. That's what we're here to do. And if you're not having a fun time, if you're not expressing a greater idea of life and love and joy, you're doing it wrong. And find out why you're doing it wrong. I found that oftentimes if I'm doing it wrong, it's because I forgot who I was, which goes back to step one. I am that I am. I know that my ideas about social issues have changed quite a bit. Coming in this teaching, I see that a lot of people's ideas about social conditions change. You know, at one time, having a woman minister was a really weird idea. In our teaching, we actually have women ministers, believe it or not, and some of the best ones. And we do teach, we do believe in a world that works for all, a world that works for everyone. No matter what your gender is, your persuasions are, even your politics. We want a world that works for all. But we've given up ideas about superstition and dogma and other forms of what our dear colleague Dr. Shea Scott Neal used to refer to as nincompoopery. You know, if something doesn't make sense, why do we continue to espouse it? I ask that. And it's just the old adage is, well, that's because we've always done it that way. That's not good enough. I remember when I was going to the church that my dad didn't like to go to for confirmation, they called it at the time. I didn't graduate because I kept asking questions. And I wasn't satisfied with the answers. You know, in our teaching, you can be spiritual and not be religious. You know that? You don't have to come to church every Sunday. We won't send you to hell if you don't. You know, in our teaching, we teach you and we work with you to change your thinking and change your life. Get that? Change your thinking and you can change your life. We teach that thoughts become things. That's really a big stretch. Thoughts actually become things. The dominant thought prevails. So, what does that mean? That means our experience in the world, whether a heaven or hell, is up to us. Because we have the power to choose. Freedom is the theme for this month. And you and I have the freedom to choose, but with that freedom, we have to accept responsibility for those choices we make. We can't just say, you remember Flip Wilson, anybody? The devil made me do it. You know, we don't believe in a devil. We don't believe that any outside force can make you do anything. It's your choice. Perhaps it's unintelligent use of intelligence, but ultimately, it's your choice. If you don't like the choice you made, if you don't like the situation you're in, make a new choice. Excuse me a moment. See, in our teaching, we discovered that the problem is not in our stars, but in us. But the good news is that this gives us the opportunity to correct the problem if we're willing to be honest. Ask for help and be willing to make some new choices. Now, in our teaching, we're really big about prayer. And this is not the kind of prayer, please give me. Please, God, give me this and I'll be a good boy. This is not that kind of prayer. We teach spiritual mind treatment. And get this, it always works according to our belief. It's an allness statement, but it's true. It always works according to our belief. In the Gospel, in Mark 9:24, we read that one of the most relatable and real confessions, where we find the father of a demon-possessed boy brings his son to Jesus and asks him to be healed. He falls to his knees and says, I believe, Jesus, but help my unbelief. Have you found yourselves in situations where you wanted to believe, but you weren't quite there? I've been in that position, and I'm sure many of you out there have too. We want so desperately to heal a matter in our lives, but fail to understand why the healing doesn't appear to be happening. Now, what I'm going to share with you now, some may disagree with. I may get in trouble. It might even get you riled, but hear this. How do you denote value in or from something? How do you denote value? It's by paying someone what it's worth. So you can ask your friends to pray for you. Fine. Prayer is always helpful, salutary. But if you want a healing and ask a professional practitioner to work with you, pay them. And if they say, no, you're a member of the center and you're my friend, don't pay me. Tell them I'm not paying to benefit you, I'm paying to benefit me. Because it's my paying you shows in my subjective mind that this means something to me, that this matters, that this is real. I'm paying the practitioner to enforce, to open up my believability in my subjective mind. Does that make sense? I hope I get a few nods out there. Paying and contributing financially to classes is another mandatory thing you're going to do, even if it's a love offering class. But only pay, only contribute if you want to get something from the class. Because again, If you pay for the class or you can contribute to the class, that means you value the class. Now, here's the touchy subject. Tithing. Woo! Remember, this is what led my dad away from the church we were in. Of course, there's other parts of that story that goes along with that. My mom had been in the hospital for months. We hadn't seen anybody from the center, it was a church, anybody from the church for months. Nobody called. All of a sudden, 3 men showed up. I was about 12, 10 years old. And they wanted to know how much my dad was going to tithe that year. Didn't go over real well. It doesn't matter whether you tithe 10%, 5%, or a set dollar amount. What matters is that if you desire to grow along spiritual lines, and you have to decide whether that's important to you or not, you need to support this center with your time, your treasure, and your talent. Besides providing for the support of the ministry, the center, the music, and the programs, which are fabulous, it instills within your subjective mind, in your subconscious mind, that you've made a commitment to your spiritual growth. And not only that, but you're showing to yourself that you are in fact growing spiritually because you value it. It means something to you. The opening song today, the Rainbow Song, as Dr. Maxine said, was written and performed by Dan Myers. Very special to me. Dan Myers was my musician for 18 years when I was in Kennewick, Washington. Besides playing piano, he plays guitar, plays flute. He's marvelous. He's an artist. He's not just a musician, he's an artist. And one of the things that is hard to do, for a parent especially, is to understand why their child have to jump off the planet before they do. Now the teens just got back from teen camp, and hopefully next week or so we'll be getting a chance to hear about the report. My son Kyle was once co-chair of the teen camp. Yeah. And as co-chair of the teen camp, he actually spoke at Asilomar. And he wrote an article in Creative Thought magazine back when Religious Science International was going. He graduated from junior college a day before he graduated from high school. He started working at a Thai restaurant not too far from the house when he turned 16. He had a car that he got from his grandparents. Nice big car, too. But on the way home, he went through an intersection and he got T-boned. He was okay, except it banged up his shoulder real bad. And so when he went to get his shoulder looked at, taken care of, the doctor put him on something called OxyContin. Some of you have heard about that. I guess we didn't know that much about it at the time. But he quickly became addicted to it. And from that time on, he was hooked. And he went on to using whatever he could to maintain his addiction. Now the question comes up, did I treat for him? Yes. Did I ask others and pay practitioners and ministers to treat for him? Yes. He went through several treatment centers. We're talking about to addiction recovery centers. He was arrested twice, spending short stints in the Cook County and Wheaton County jails. This is in Illinois. If you've heard anything about Cook County jail, it's true. He would get some sober, clean time. He was working, living in a sober home, or with a delightful girlfriend who tried her best to help him. I found out later that he was really good at maintaining his sobriety when he really wasn't maintaining his sobriety. He was just, they call it a functioning alcoholic, a functioning drug addict. He's just a drug addict with a job. And he could smile his way through things. He was a charmer. Well, finally, it was not 3, but 4 years ago this Friday that on the 21st, Kyle died from a drug overdose. I know and I believe that spiritual mind treatment always works. But you know what? It always doesn't turn out the way we want it to. We treat for what, not for how. I prayed for the Christ in him to come forth at its highest. I prayed that he would be free from addiction of all forms. I prayed that he would find peace in his mind and heart. And through my grief came to me the realization that he did. That when he died from a life of torment and hell, he did so that he would be able to be free to express fully as he continues his soul's journey. Now his jumping off the planet stretched my mind, firmly fixing into my heart and soul the realization that life is eternal. And so in that I have found peace and encouragement. Now I urge you, as you leave today, go on to do your other things, to take away the realization that sometimes it's good to be stretched. That if something isn't working, perhaps you need to reach a little farther out into getting a greater idea. Perhaps what you're doing is just not enough. In the fact that you're not doing enough, it's just you need a greater idea than what it is right now you're working from. And finally, I urge you not to hold on to grief, anger, or resentments about the past. To gently release them and allow room for the divine ideal within us all to come forward, and then stretch into that new idea. And so it is. Did I mention the fact, thank you. Did I mention the fact that Dan Myers played that at Kyle's memorial service? Yeah. He played the Rainbow Song. He didn't play actually, but Daniel Nemod did. And he passed that song along to Daniel Nemod, and Daniel Nemod played that at his memorial service, which was on September the 1st. And how it came that song was picked as an opening song on the anniversary of his jumping off the planet blows me away. It's got to be a God thing. Thanks very much.
Whoa. Thank you, Reverend Mike. And it's a good thing we got a lot of Kleenex here at the Inspiration Cafe. Wow. Yes, indeed, it was 4 years ago. Now it's time for offertory. Whether you tithe or not, it's time to give from your heart however you're moved, to celebrate and support our beloved center. And my way of doing it, at least in terms of the treasure part, because we all love to give our time, our talent, and our treasure. But I love to hold my treasure to my heart, because it reminds me that every good gift in my life and in our lives comes from the divine. And it's my joy to give it back to the closest point of my spiritual nourishment, which is the Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living. Many other ways to give. This is my preferred. And so let's speak our affirmation together, shall we? I choose to celebrate prosperity. Divine love blesses my gift. It is my acceptance of God as the source of my abundant supply. With joy and gratitude, I share my abundance with this center. In doing so, I am one with the law of circulation. My tithe goes forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless. It returns to me multiplied abundantly, and I am prospered, and so it is.
I remember as a kid warming up before gym. I touched my toes without breaking a sweat. If I tried it now, there ain't the slightest doubt I'd end up in a hospital bed. The older I get, the less I want to stretch, but the more that I need to try. 'Cause somewhere between what I know and what I believe is a lesson only life can teach. No plan is perfect, no path is straight. I'm gonna bend or I'm gonna break. Well, it's always kinda cute when some smooth talking suit selling peace of mind guaranteed. When just behind the curtain I am fairly certain even well-dressed wizards are as worried as me. Take your doctors and pills, lawyers and their wills, talking heads on TV. If everyone confessed that everyone's a mess, I'm guessing we could finally breathe. 'Cause somewhere between what I sense and what I see is a lesson only life can teach. No plan is perfect, no path is straight. So I'm gonna bend or I'm gonna break. How do I go from pretending to know to admitting I'm flying blind? Maybe the cure for the need to be sure is taking one detour at a time. 'Cause somewhere between what I am and what I thought I'd be is a lesson especially for me. No plan is perfect, no path is straight. I'm in the palm of the hand of fate. And sooner or later there's a choice to make. I'm gonna bend or I'm gonna break. I'm gonna bend or I'm gonna break. I'm gonna bend or I'm gonna break.
Daddy, can you even touch your toes? I can put my toes in my mouth.
I'm gonna bend or break.
Hi. Happy Sunday to everybody out there. My name is Suzanne Smethers, and I'm a proud member of your Board of Trustees.
Yay!
That was quite a Sunday service, wasn't it? Reverend Mike, I am so grateful for your wisdom and your gentle help. You change the direction of my life. And you remind me, because I forget a lot, and I'm very grateful for that. You've made a great difference, and so CSL and Dr. Maxine. So if any of you out there are as lucky as I am, then we are very lucky. We are very lucky. Dr. Maxine and Reverend Mike both mentioned that our teens are back from camp, and we know they had a wonderful time, and we'll hear from them soon. But I just wanted to remind you that teen camp for next year will be here before we know it. So please make sure, if you find it in your heart, to donate throughout the year so that our teens can have an easier time getting out to that fabulous teen camp that they get to go to, and the lessons that they get to learn and share when they come back with everybody that they know. If you are ready to expand your abundance consciousness, deepen the awareness of your true value, and establish a greater life purpose, sign up for Bo Smith's Dynamic News Summer Class on Zoom. Based on the popular book by Edwin Gaines, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, this is a 5-session Zoom class starting on Tuesday, July 18th from 6:30 to 8:30 Eastern Time, and this is a love offering class. And Reverend Mike will be starting a new 13-week Zoom class on how to use the science of mind, starting Saturday mornings on August 26th. For events, we have our next full moon ceremony will be held on Tuesday, August 1st from 7 to 8 here at Inspiration Cafe, rain or shine. Be sure to sign up early. Those close up quickly. And join us for the next Nibbles and New Thought on Monday, August 7th at 6:30 to 8:30 at the Brick and Brew in Malvern. Just a reminder, it's always on the first Monday of the month, and it is a great time. If you haven't come, you should join us. Our next in-person Sunday celebration will be held the last Sunday in July. That's July 30th in Eagleville, and we will have live music from Jim Wade. Yay. To see all the details and to register, just go to our website at cslphilly.org. Have a great day. Enjoy your week. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Oh my goodness, we're grateful to you for so much that you and Rick share with us, including your wonderful space in Eagleville, and we'll be there before we know it again. Okay, we have a closing song called Life is Wonderful by Jason Mraz.
It takes a crane to build a crane. It takes 2 floors to make a story. It takes an egg to make a hen. It takes a hen to make an egg. There is no end to what I'm saying. It takes a thought to make a word, and it takes some words to make an action. And it takes some work to make it work. It takes some good to make it hurt. It takes some bad for satisfaction. Ah, la 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 la, life is wonderful. Ah, la 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 la, life goes full circle. Ah, la 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 la, life is wonderful. Ah, la 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 la. It takes a night to make it dawn, and it takes a day to make you yawn, brother. And it takes some mold to make you young. It takes some cold to know the sun. It takes the one to have the other. And it takes no time to fall in love, but it takes you years to know what love is. And it takes some fears to make you trust. It takes those tears to make it rust. It takes the dust to have it polished, yeah. la 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 la, life is wonderful. Ha la 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 la, life goes full circle. Ha la 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 la, life is wonderful. Ha la la la. It is so. It takes some silence to make sound, and it takes a loss before you found it, and it takes a road to go nowhere. It takes a toll to make you care. It takes a hole to make a mountain. La 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 la, life is wonderful. La 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 la, life goes full circle. La 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 la, life is wonderful. La 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 la, life is meaningful. La 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 la, life is wonderful. La 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 la. It is so
And so as we go forth today, and as we expand into a greater consciousness of infinite possibilities, we know that we are stretching our ideas, we're stretching ourselves to embrace and express a heaven on earth, right here and right now. For we know this is so, and so it is.
Oh.